Alright guys, we're back more. I completely forgot about the Velvet Room. But anyway, back more
I have been
Tactica.
awaiting you.
Cool.
You
Thank
look
you for
like you have
awaiting
something
me.
you wish to say. What seems to be the matter? All who disregard instructions must be punished, no matter the transgressor. Does anyone take issue with that?
Yes.
Now, there is but one reason for your being summoned here. I have completed the arrangements necessary for your persona needs. Since the power of the wild card has been hampered somehow, you will have to make do with this process. Perhaps a demonstration would be simplest. I shall guide you through the process to ensure your comprehension. Before that, though, one small question. Have you sighted anything resembling this during your battles? Well then, this shall be easier to explain than I anticipated. Within these lies some sort of power that only exists in this world. I will now show you how to use this power to create new personas. This place
Fusion.
honestly feels hot.
Okay.
The awakening of a new power. Now then, make your decision.
Wait, when the fuck did I get these? Kate Seth. No, I want to check the.
Is this persona acceptable? Please wait just a moment.
Okay. So still adding this mechanic to the game. Okay. What is this?
Is this persona? One moment, please.
I only didn't care one. Wait.
A successful effort. Please, take it with you. While you are no longer able to switch between different personas, this new power is available not only to yourself, but to your compatriots as well. This place honestly feels hot.
Okay, so that's a thing.
Your strength is... What would you like to do? Which persona will you choose?
Okay, interesting.
What would you like to do?
So-
Which persona will you choose?
So you can have
What would you like to do?
sub-personas.
Your strength is being tested. What do you think of that? It is simply my duty as one who rules over power. So long as the flame of your resolve continues to burn, I will be by your side. Please return should you ever find yourself in need of more power. With that being said, this place... Honest, you wish to dismantle a weapon? Which weapon will you choose?
For my
Are you finished? Ready to take your leave? Then I have a final gift before you do. There is no doubt that you will face many battles in this kingdom where you found yourself. While I may have been roped into the situation as well, it is an unfortunate fact that I am unable to provide you my usual services. Therefore, I am providing you with something in an attempt to make up for this failure. Please take a look at your smart telephone. Whenever you have need for my assistance, please make use of that application. It will bring you right to me immediately. With this, even in the midst of battle, even if the enemy is right before your eyes, my aid is available to you. Do you think so? I had never created something of that nature before, but I believe it will work without issue. I hope as much, at least. And now, I shall wish you the best of luck. I will be here as always, should you need my assistance. Until then, take care. Well then, have a pleasant day.
I see. A sub-persona, huh? In other words, while you can't switch between personas at will like before, you can choose one persona to equip in addition to Arsene. And you're not the only one. The rest of us can equip a sub-persona in this world too! Which means that all of us can borrow the powers of other personas!
Yeah, I get it.
This ability is amazing! If we use it wisely, we can more than double our firepower!
Seems like I can't use the sub-persona ability since I don't have a persona in the first place.
A fucking loser.
That's a shame. It would have been so cool to use it.
What is that voice acting?
You're more than on par with us when it comes to fighting. We'll be counting on you as usual, Arena.
Yes, I promise to fulfill my end of the deal.
Anyway, now that we have Miss Lavenza's support, we can rest easy. We should go see her if we ever need help with our new power.
Okay, so... Just wanted to
Do
make
you need
sure.
something? Please, take your time.
Okay, nothing new.
Stop by anytime.
Thanks so much!
Ah,
I was expecting this to be voice acted. I shouldn't know, because I should know that all these aren't, but... Captain Arena.
You gotta be kidding.
What if...
Hey! Okay, okay. No! Listen!
Didn't mean to skip that, but whatever.
Yep. Oh, I get it.
Oh, did not mean to do that. God damn it.
I understand. We can do this. Hmm?
Hey!
Okay. So you get GP just for listening to that? Or I guess not listening because there's the voice acting, but you get the point. Okay. Did nothing. Alright, I guess we'll start.
Say,
Can't voice act this fun either. Oh, it's not fucking on auto, right? Okay. Yeah, I was taking all the fucking.
ah,
Hmm. Hey.
That's it then.
That's right. Thank you.
no, well, that's...
Ah. Let's go.
Quests. I don't think I care enough, right? These are essentially just side quests, right? Oh, fuck off. Alright, it's gonna force you to do one.
We sure have a
Of course
lot
it
of
fucking
choices.
is. On. Wait. Well, it's forcing me
Okay.
to, but. So, On's in our party, yeah. We haven't. So, I guess, is this a tutorial to On?
I was thinking.
I guess we'll see.
Seriously?
Say,
Oh, I get it.
Hee
Thank you.
what?
I forgot. I did want to listen to my Persona 5 Tactica video. Do I still have that open? I do. Fuck right. Alright, let's do that. Why not? Oh. Audio's not on.
This is a fine system and a massive step down from the brilliance of the Confidant system, with that system also being so masterful.
I have
all the
no
differences
memory of
between
this
the game.
video.
Where here again, it feels like a dumbed down version of that. But now with the Confidant system also being done, you do lose
Hey, I
out
made
on
this
spending a
video,
lot of
what, 3
time with a lot
years
of fantasy
ago,
there as
right?
well, though you do still get some great character moments here and there, but just not as extensively as you would in the original game. And through that, your typical day within the game also plays a
Because
lot
if
of
it came out in
different games as well.
2021, then I played it mid-2021 and made the video immediately after. It didn't come out for a year after.
Where one most notable
Yeah, so I
element of
made
Persona
this like
5 was
3
the power
years
system, and how you had to
ago.
manage your time well. But all that is completely erased
Okay,
here with
yes,
the
so they're
transition
not
between days
proper
being scripted within the story, and you can go in and out of the metaverse without any real consequence, which felt like a really underwhelming omission from this game. Most of the real world sections of this game pertain to running around one of the numerous cities in the game that the Phantom Thieves would visit over the course of the story, each filled with shops and allowing you to have conversations. But again, for me, it just didn't interest me. It didn't feel as expansive as just the one city that was there during Persona 5. And
Joker's
without the
not
Confidant
a
system, without
required
staying in the same
member.
location, like buying armor and weapons isn't done through the Confidants that you had, but instead through Sophia's shop, which is just a random store that you can open up from the hideout. And again, it just felt like a dumbed down version of how the original game would function. Strange addition to this game, though, was the inclusion of Joker's Kitchen, where you can buy ingredients in the city to cook food that you can use as items
So
in dungeons, which typically end up being stronger items than the ones
Futaga's
that you
not
buy in the
natural.
game. And felt like expansion to Joker's cooking abilities from the original game that was relegated to cooking things out LeBlanc during the night, but at the end of the day felt like an unnecessary addition that doesn't really change my opinion on anything within the game. And the final gameplay-based thing to talk about here is the metaverse, which in this game is split into jails instead of prisons, though I mean the difference between the two isn't that radical, and jails are still dungeon sections that involve fighting enemies and solving puzzles. And something I felt like the original Persona 5 did really great was masking the fact that you were in a dungeon. And it didn't feel like this typically confined a space that you were in, and through that, for me, I just had an overall more positive experience with playing palaces than I would with your typical dungeon in any other given game. But I do feel like Persona 5 Strikers here felt more so like your traditional dungeons, with each having this really similar structure of you having to find these 3 cores that end up being followed up by a boss battle with the Lockkeeper, which was a pretty similar fight almost every single time. And I do think with the concept of these jails being a distortion of the entire city, with the levels being laid out like typical city streets, I do think that also led to this more generic feel when going through these palaces. That again felt like these jails were once again worse versions of houses from the original game, which for the most part I really enjoyed almost every palace within the original game. But here I do think the jails just felt repetitive most of the time, and when they didn't, it just felt like we've seen these style sections done better. And again, from a gameplay perspective, that's essentially how I look at Persona 5 Strikers as a whole, where most of this game has been done better than Persona 5. Like while I do like the new combat system, most of the other additions or changes to the game felt pretty underwhelming to me. But with that said, let's move on to the narrative, which sadly I have to say that I have the exact same opinions of. I mean, it's technically a narrative sequel to Persona 5, but I think it falls into the same trap that many of these style stories have, these like reunion-esque stories, where it does give us more of the characters we love, but it does so in a smaller scaled story that doesn't add much to the overall series. It feels like the main purpose of this game's story was just to give us more of these characters in this world without actually telling that interesting of a story in its own right, when that feels completely unnecessary while just copying the tropes from the original story and just doing it not as well. Again, it's not bad on its own right, it's a replacement level story, it's just not nearly as great as the original Persona 5's, and it feels like a story that just didn't need to exist. But let's run through the story, which again starts off with Joker and Morgana returning to Tokyo so that they can spend summer vacation with the other Phantom Thieves, which I don't mind the concept for the story, though obviously I do think it adds to the smaller scale of the game, where again in the original Persona 5 it took place over the course of the entire year, while here here only takes place over the course of a month. But we briefly get introduced to the first antagonist in the game in Alice, and this felt really bizarre to me, where it just feels like a random cutscene of us randomly passing by an event that she's hosting. We accidentally get thrown into her jail by using an app called Emma, which felt again very reminiscent of the original game, but I feel like the setup here felt a lot more rushed. Obviously, we learned that Alice is the jail owner due to her having stolen the desires of the public, which is technically a change from how the original palaces were set up. But to me, during this entire setup section, I just felt like we were seeing more of the same, but without having as compelling of a villain here as Kamoshida was, who was such a hateable villain and also one that had strong ties to the protagonist. But here with Alice, I just didn't care about her. But during these sections of the game, we do also meet a new character in Sophia, who later becomes a party member, and a lot of the endgame does revolve around her arc in the game. But again, I didn't care about Sophia, and to me, she just felt like a retread of Morgana's storyline from the original game, playing a character that had barely any interesting interactions, with most of her screen time revolving around her wanting to learn more about humanity. And while I do like her arc by the end of the game, I did find her pretty annoying through most of the game. We do also get introduced to the other major new character in the game in Zenkichi, an investigator that ends up helping the Vampires and later joins them, which is kind of bizarre considering the fact he's like double their age. But I find to be one of the more interesting characters in this game, and I like his interactions with the group, despite again their radical age difference. But Zenkichi's role in the game is probably one of my favorite elements of the story here. As for the rest of this Alice arc, I mean, they do try to add this personal story for Ann within this arc, which they strangely do for a few of the characters over the course of this game, but not all of them, which does lead to certain characters getting a lot more screen time than others. And again, for Ann, this clearly did not hit nearly as hard as the Kamoshida storyline from Persona 5. They do try to humanize Alice and really all the antagonists in the game through the Lockkeeper sections that give us the backstory behind the antagonist, and we get the backstory of her being bullied, which is obviously a very unique backstory there. Again, like for me, like Alice did not click with me as a villain, but we also end up defeating her and release all of the desires and pretty generic stuff there. For me, this arc just didn't interest me from their perspective. I was still enjoying the game because I love Persona 5, I love these characters, but the new additions to the story at this point just did not interest me at all. After this first initial jail, we do have family teaming up with Zenkichi, where we begin the road trip around Japan to take down jails around the country, with our next destination being Sendai. And during this section, we do meet Ichinose, who felt like a pretty pointless character at this point in the story, though considering she was the traitor of Emma, I felt like she was always going to play a pretty major role in the endgame of the game. But the main story of this arc does revolve around taking down Natsume, a writer who writes terrible vampire stories, and again, this felt very reminiscent of the Madarame arc, especially considering Yusuke getting a lot of the focus in this arc, but I do think Yusuke actually gets a pretty good character moments here, particularly with his interactions with Natsume, so that kind of made up for the genericness of the plot here. And I did also like the jail as well here, with it being themed after like this gothic vampire aesthetic that did come off as a parody at points due to it supposedly being inspired by an actively bad book. So while this arc does end up feeling pretty episodic and not affecting the grand narrative too much, I did actually enjoy this portion of the game. After this, we arrive in Sapporo, where the narrative does get a bit more serious with us having to take down Monoko, an old friend of Haru and the mayor of Sapporo. Again, going from taking down a pop star to a novelist to the mayor of a city feels like a radical departure, but I did like how this arc did revolve around Haru, who's a character I felt like got the right end of the deal back in the original game, where her arc in that game ends up being shared with this Morgana storyline, and she ends up being the least developed character through the main story of that game. So happy to see her get some focus here, though this is kind of the end of these focused arcs around a member of the original Band of Thieves, which felt kind of bizarre to me that they only chose to focus on these three and not like Ryuji or Makoto, who noticeably get less important content throughout this game. And for Sapporo jail, I did find it kind of annoying to play, where I felt like most of these jails were pretty straightforward, but there were points in this one where I felt like I didn't know exactly where I was going, and the aesthetic of this being like this winter wonderland rather than things out of the jails in this game, and arc as a whole does end up playing out pretty much as expected. But after this, we do move to a short section in Kyoto, which doesn't last for too long, as it's really just cutscenes where we learn more about Zenkichi, where we find out that he has a daughter named Akane, who is bizarrely this massive super fan of the Band of Thieves, posting a podcast about them and everything, and having all this paraphernalia, and this was like super meta. But we also learn about the death of Zenkichi's wife and learn that Akane is upset at Zenkichi for not seemingly caring about finding her killer. And I feel like this is a great setup for Zenkichi's arc moving forward, even though at the end of the day, it isn't the most original arc they could have created. After this, we leave Kyoto for Okinawa, where we get a beach scene, because again, we have the mirror of the original game. But we also do learn about a jail without a monarch, and this is the original arc they could have created. After this, we leave Kyoto for Okinawa, where we get a beach scene, because again, we have the mirror of the original game. But we also do learn about a jail without a monarch, and this does lead to a pretty short jail resembling a lab, where we do get more content for Sophia, but again, I really didn't care about her arc at this point in the story. And this arc does end with a fight against the Lockkeeper, which felt really anticlimactic here, as again, you fight the Lockkeeper many times in this game. But it's also during this arc that we learn more about Inoue, this like Tony Stark looking guy that is working for a politician named Owada in order to change the hearts of his political enemies, so that Owada can become the next prime minister. What a unique storyline here. Obviously, again, mirroring the relationship between Akechi and Shido. But after this, we do get another pretty short arc revolving around our return to Kyoto, where Inoue and Owada end up attempting to arrest the Band of Thieves, to which Zenkichi ends up stopping this, only for he himself to be arrested. And when Akane gets involved in all this, where Inoue uses Emma to create a jail for her, we also get an arc here that does focus a lot around Zenkichi, and I really love this arc. I mean, we get the resolution to the Zenkichi-Akane relationship issues that were set up earlier. We have Zenkichi being a focal character here after he gets out of jail, while the Band of Thieves outside of Futaba get captured in the jail, leading to Zenkichi and Futaba having to save them. And while I didn't love the Zenkichi stealth section, I did feel like Zenkichi got some really great content here, especially with his awakening scene in his persona and also his interactions with Akane. Now, the rest of the house is pretty short though. I mean, mostly comprised of this like portal-based puzzle where you have to find these shrines, but you figure out where the portal goes, which is a pretty basic puzzle section. But I did find it fun, and the competition for Akane is pretty great with us having to fight this copy of Joker. And again, a pretty fun fight, but again, the arc does come off as relatively short. But it does lead up to the start of the endgame, where we go to Osaka to confront Inoue, which felt pretty reminiscent of the Shido Palace, with the game making you think that this is the final confrontation. But obviously, with this being Persona, it should be pretty clear there is more to come. But I did really love this palace. It really did feel like the entire game was leading up to this. Now, Inoue does get this really dramatic backstory of his father having killed his mother, and then him having tried to kill his own father, and through this, he looks at himself as the only hero that can save the world, and that he's trying to actually make the world a better place through his actions here, with him actually planning on changing Owada's heart as well. Again, a pretty solid backstory. I do think it makes him a sympathetic villain, and it does lead up to a really fantastic boss battle as well, where he comes off as so resolute in his ideals, kind of similar to Maruki from Persona 5 Royal. We first fight him in his mech, and then that's followed up by this really badass scene of him walking away from the mech's explosion, and us having to fight him in his hero outfit. And this all was a really satisfying boss battle here. Probably would have been a satisfying final fight for the game if it had been so. But after this, we do get this fireworks celebration. I did look as a callback to the previous games, and like, I've complained a lot about how this game is mirrored the previous one, but I think this one at least adds more to the story with the fact that they referenced the previous time they had the fireworks and how it got rained out, and now them actually getting to see the fireworks for the first time. I did feel like this one added more to the story than the other ones. They'll really at the end of the day, and pretty unimportant, but we do find out here that the threat isn't done yet, where Emma throws us into the jail of the Abyss, which is essentially the depths of Mementos, and we get more Morgana parallels with Sophia with her finding out her true origin here, and we get a series of other revelations. I mean, we also find out that Emma has turned into the Ark of the Covenant, again, just like the Holy Grail from the original Persona 5. We then get the reveal that Ichinose was in on it the entire time and is actually the mastermind of all these events, and shocking, right? And we do get a boss battle with Sophia, which is bizarre. I mean, it is weird to be fighting against this person again without seeing your party for a lot of the game, but her arc does conclude within this arc, with her stopping the fight of the Fan Thieves and now having learned about humanity, wanting to help her friends, and she's able to awaken her true persona. It's a nice arc here, though it's obviously so painfully generic that it was pretty clear that was coming, and really that's a lot how I feel about Sophia as a character as a whole, is that her role in the story for me was so predictable the entire way through. But again, Ichinose also gets a lot of credit here with her revealing that she created Sophia to be able to understand the human heart. And again, to me this felt so heavy-handed, and I do feel like if this had been the final confrontation, this would have been an underwhelming end to the story, especially when we just had that great noise section in the game. But thankfully, we do still have one more enemy to confront here, being the Ark of the Covenant. But to face it, we have to go through one last dungeon, that being the Tree of Knowledge, which again felt very reminiscent of the final world in Persona 5, but leads to the final boss battle with the Ark, who is actually the false god Demiurge. And I really do love the final boss battle in this game, where you have to use each of the characters to do a certain part of the boss battle, and you can pick which character is in each group. And I really love pretty much everything about the mechanics of this final boss battle. Now, for me personally, I was kind of annoyed as I spent most of the game playing as the same 4 to 5 characters, so because I had some characters that were very much underleveled in comparison, but I had a lot of fun with this final boss battle, though again, narratively, it's pretty much the exact same thing for Persona 5. And after that, we have the end of the game, where summer is over, the Fan Thieves have to split up once again. Sophia ends up going with Ichinose, which screams out to me as them just trying to get rid of these characters just in case they ever make another narrative sequel moving forward. And the game ends with Joker receiving an email from Sophia where she calls the photo of the Fan Thieves her treasure, which is a nice end, but again, for me, Sophia was a character that really just did nothing for me, despite her being such a major focus in the end game here. So really, overall for me, there are just so many narrative beats that didn't hit nearly as hard as I feel like they could have. But as a whole, I don't think the story of this game is bad. I just don't love how much it tries to mirror the original Persona 5. I really wish it would try to change the formula a bit more. I did like Zenkichi and his arc over the course of the story. There are some great interactions between the Fan Thieves. I did know he was an interesting antagonist by the end of his run, but almost everything else this narrative does just doesn't work for me when we've already had a better version of it in the original Persona 5. And let's just wrap up this review as a whole with, again, that being my main criticism of this game. As someone who adores Persona 5, it's one of, if not my favorite game of all time. And when finding out that there was going to be this narrative sequel to that, I was so excited to see what story they had left to tell. But through playing this game, it makes it very clear they didn't have a story to tell. And they were just like, hey, let's just do the same thing again. But again, doesn't mean I hate this game. I just think coming from the masterpiece that is Persona 5, following that up with this felt like a letdown to me. But again, a really dumbed down version of Persona 5 is still at the end of the day a pretty good game in the grand scheme of things. And at the end of the day, that is the way I look at Persona 5 Strikers here. But there we go. I mean, that is my review. Obviously, stay tuned for more game reviews and retrospectives moving forward. But for now, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Alright guys, I'm here back with a new video. In this video, around the 15th anniversary of the first installment of one of my
Uncharted 1. Actually,
franchises. Here I will be talking about my thoughts on Uncharted 1, Drake's Fortune, which is a really nostalgic game for me, with it being the first game I ever played on my PS3 back in the day. But despite that nostalgia, I'll be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that it's part of the Uncharted series, I'd probably just simply not like this game nowadays. Now I know it's become the norm to say that Uncharted 1 has not aged well, but it really hasn't. Not just in how the game plays, but for me and also how the game is designed, with my most recent replay really reminding me how much this game's structure just annoys me, and also how uninspired I feel like the narrative is as well. Despite that fact though, for the time, this is a game that did push the gaming medium forward with how much emphasis was put on its cinematic nature. I feel like that at least is something to be commended. Now like my other perspectives, I will be going through the game chapter by chapter, but first I do want to talk about a few general things. Now, as we would later expect from the Uncharted series, this game is a third-person action-adventure game that has a mix of platforming, shooting, and puzzle sections. But something this game really struggles with is finding the right balance of these sections, with the bulk of the game feeling really combat-heavy, which I personally find pretty annoying, especially when the shooting mechanics in this game are rather lackluster, and really most of the gameplay elements of this game, and really the series as a whole, have never been as refined as I would like them to be, especially in the original PS3 trilogy, where I always did feel like the platforming doesn't necessarily respond the way that I would want it to. In general, it feels very floaty. Gunplay has never been the series' strong suit either, pretty much being this baseline cover.
Keep up the good work and stay safe out there.
If you stab you get 300.
Everyone, we've got some new intel. We've spotted 2 people wearing outfits similar to yours in the vicinity of Marie's armory. They were described as a loud, rowdy blonde boy and a terrifying axe-wielding woman.
I wonder who
Sound like
it is.
people you know?
No.
Yeah, that's ringing a bell.
They're 2 of our friends.
So Ryuji and Haru now.
We should come up with a way to rescue
Who's
them.
left? Yusuke?
Odds are Marie still got them both under her control.
Is that it? Oh,
Probably
Makoto.
won't get
Yusuke
away
and
with
Makoto.
charging the armory head on.
It is, in fact, a very important stronghold for the enemy, and much more heavily guarded.
That isn't all, either. There's also a rather complex system of security gates throughout the armory. It'd be all too easy to wind up lost and captured.
Huh. You sound like an expert on the place.
I wouldn't go that far, but I was taken there for a while after I was captured. Maybe they were replenishing their supplies. Whatever it was, I distinctly remember being brought into the armory. I can say, without a doubt, that you'd never make it through there. We should wait for a better opportunity. Those are simply the facts.
Does he have to be so smug about it?
This definitely sounds like a real challenge for us. How do you Phantom Thieves feel about it?
We don't throw in the towel that easily. Our friends' lives are on the line here. We're taking this mission.
Mona said it. We're not gonna sit around just because a little danger's involved.
It's way too early for us to drop this quest. Maybe we'll find a key item along the way.
I can say, without a doubt, that you'd never make it through there. We should wait for a better opportunity. Those are simply the facts.
Did you really think we just didn't hear you the first time?
I'm glad you Phantom Thieves see things my way. I'm right there with you. We can't just give up on them now.
Hang on, you agree with them? After what happened at the prison, there's no way that place will be safe. How is it acceptable to bring a group of children there?
God damn, what the fuck? Okay.
I understand that, but...
The rest of us are unanimous. We're taking this mission. Feel free to wait here if you don't feel like joining us.
As a responsible adult, I could never let minors wander off into danger alone. Fine then. If it's to help your friends, I'll accompany you.
We appreciate the offer, but can you even fight?
Of course I can't fight. However, I can guide you all through the base.
You can?
As I said before, I've already been inside the armory. Not only do I know the general interior layout, but I kept mental note of the gates with lighter security.
Oh, now that's something.
I even eavesdropped on every guard's conversation. I have a great deal of experience in listening to others.
Real proud of that one, huh?
Listen, nothing we do will make our mission any less dangerous. If you get even the remote sense that we're in trouble, retreat to the hideout immediately. Promise?
Okay, what's this? Baton Pass? That's the thing now. Okay. That's what Baton Pass is in this game? Okay. Are we past 30? We are. I guess one tier. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll be back, probably not until Thursday, but I guess we'll be back Thursday. I'll be, like, I kind of want to play more, but I'm also, like, it is late. It's already, what, 3:30? Yeah, so, that will be it, but, yeah, we'll be back, on Thursday. We'll see how much I end up playing. Don't know. Considering, well, Thursday actually might be fine, but Friday's probably the day that I'll be like, okay, maybe I'll focus more on watching Vanuatu on Friday. We'll see. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.